Hello everybody, it's Joe here and welcome back to my F122 My Team Career Mode campaign. We're on Season 2 and this is the Spanish Grand Prix, the 5th round of the season, and more upgrades hit the car in Miami. We've had a minor one arrive here, so we should be edging ever closer now to the front of the field. But first things first, we've got a very wet qualifying to contend with, and it's going to be very tricky out there. So first things first is Q1. Look at the way I'm hugging that apex, a little bit wide on the exit, but oh my days, this took a lot to not end up going round. These wet conditions on the F122 game, they're something else entirely. You've really got to be made of strong stuff to deal with them. Our first lap then put us 8th with Schumacher 9th and Piastri 10th. But I feel like we needed just a little bit more to get through and progress into Q2. So I'm going round again. And that lap just felt a lot better. And here we are then completing it. And that is going to be enough for P10 again. And I think that is where we maintain at the end of Q1. Piastri getting through too. Out of Q1 is Vettel, Magnussen, Drugovich and co. But next up we're in Q2. And you know what? I'm feeling confident about this lap because in Q2 it's really coming together for us. And I don't know if it's just me, but it looks as if the track is starting to just get that little bit drier. So I am potentially fancying a go on the intermediates when we get into Q3. We'll see how it goes. But for now, we are completing Q2. And we go across the curb into the last corner now. And I missed the 2 rapid rights that we had at the end of the lap here. Can we get those back, please, FIA? But the lap time there was good enough for P4, so that'll get us comfortably through. Here we are in Q3. I've taken the gamble and gone on intermediates, but the sky has got darker and it looks as if it's raining just that bit heavier now, so the gamble's not going to pay off. And I've got very little to no grip there. Russell with so much more traction. I've got the racing line. Russell's trying to get round me off the circuit. We've collided and into the wall I go. I'll call that one a racing incident because albeit I was on the line, Russell was trying to get around me, and I think my trajectory and his trajectory both moved towards each other there, so I think we both could have done more to avoid that. But it's pole for Carlos Sainz in his home race, and once again Alonso struggles in qualifying.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture of the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day, he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. The circuit of Barcelona-Catalunya, a track that will certainly force the drivers to push themselves. It also consists of a very impressive main straight going into Turn 1. It's a straight that also offers a DRS zone, so it's likely to be a hot spot for overtakes. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Norris, George Russell and Hamilton, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Perez and Joker, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Yuki Tsunoda and Gasly, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Sebastian Vettel and Kevin Magnussen, Drugovich, Ocon, Joe and Daniel Ticktum. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Can we talk about Mercedes? There have been some tweaks to the power unit regulations, of course, and I have to say it doesn't seem so far, at least, that they've been able to keep up.
Well, there are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they have been hit fairly hard by these new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development. Even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Right then, the Spanish Grand Prix home race to Carlos Sainz and the championship leader Fernando Alonso, who once again starts out of position, so it gives the Ferrari drivers a good chance to maybe claw some points back depending on how this all works out. But there's 33 laps of racing ahead of us first, so can Alonso make his way up the field and limit the damage that the Ferraris can do? Can I gain a couple of positions off the start and maybe get some good momentum going into the race and fight the Red Bulls? Who knows what's going to unfold in the next 33 laps, but the 5 red lights are going on. And it's lights out and away we go. Sainz gets away well, so does Leclerc, but look at that launch from Albon. That was a mighty launch. Unfortunately, he seemed to have nowhere to go with that. Leclerc goes to cover him. Albon going around the outside, trying to get hold of P2. Is there a way through there? I don't think there is. Carlos Sainz leading the way in his home Grand Prix after a mighty start. Leclerc second, Albon third, Norris fourth. And look at that pack there sorting itself out. I'm amazed there wasn't a collision and all that. Right, to my POV at the start then. It's lights out and away we go. It's a relatively decent start for us, but Alonso's bogged down. And I've had to sort of tuck in behind him because there was nowhere to go. Schumacher's on my left. I think Latifi is there as well. I'm going to try and go into turn 1. But I haven't gained any positions off that at all. In fact, I've lost 2 to Schumacher and Latifi. So strange seeing Latifi in an Alpine. But we're going to try and get round Latifi here into what I think is turn 4. Down the inside, Latifi holding out around the outside beautifully. Side by side then, heading towards the left-hander. I've braked that bit later and I'm now trying to go around the outside of Schumacher as well. I think I've just got them both, but Schumacher's still on my left, hoping for a chance into this little kink. But you know what? I've held the line around the outside and Schumacher deciding to back out of that one. So for now, it is myself in P10 and Alonso has lost a place off the start. And speaking of losing places, Norris might lose one to Russell here because George Russell is up the inside and Norris is trying to hold him out. Has he got through? No, Norris keeping the place. Right, here is Nicholas Latifi on the inside of Mick Schumacher. Is he going to be able to get that one done? Schumacher fighting for his life to keep the position, but the Alpine around the outside. You don't see cars going wheel to wheel there. And Latifi just schooling him around the outside there. That is why he is the GOAT. Lando Norris now trying to make more gains. This is Norris on Albon. Norris going right around the outside of the Alpine. And Norris taking P3 from Alex Albon. But Albon's still in a very good 4th at the moment. He's having a strong race. Where are we meanwhile while all this is going on? Well, we're stuck in this little DRS train that is headed up. I can't see who's leading it all, but we are in a DRS train. And the problem with that is that when you're in the middle or at the back of it, the gains you make, the guy in front of you is making too. So you've really got to try and make the difference yourself. And it's very, very tricky, I think, when you're stuck in a DRS train to fight your way through it. So for now, I'm biding my time. But the pace looks good because we're hanging on to the back of it. And I think it might be Albon that's holding up this train. But for now, if I can just hold on to the back of the train, we might be able to gain a few positions just by doing that. Alonso is in P9 and we've got a spinner in front of us. And Alonso having to back out of that. Who went round? I think that might be Lewis Hamilton. Yes, it's Lewis Hamilton. What's he done? Oh, he's just got on the throttle and round it's gone. And Alonso had to jam on the brakes, which is what allowed me to nip through. I just said, thank you very much, Fernando. I will take that off you. It's unlucky for Fernando, though. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Had to dive on the brakes, and I had a clear way through. But Fernando's now trying to get the place back on me. I'm trying to race Verstappen, but it's not going to be easy to get by Verstappen or catch him while I'm too busy defending for Fernando. So Alonso goes down the inside here, and I'm going to fight him around the outside, but I'm not going to fight him too hard. Alonso gets that done. The McLaren is clearly quicker than us, and I believe one of the quickest cars here. We are not fighting them today. My fight is Albon and the Red Bulls. If we can get the Red Bulls. Alonso goes to cover there, as I have the advantage of DRS, which he doesn't have. I try to go around the outside and sneak away through, but Alonso sees that one coming and shuts that one straight down. I'm still pushing here, and oh dear, we've hit the bump on the curb, the sausage curb, and it sent me round. I recovered that nicely as I went very sideways, but we've lost the place to Latifi. That mistake costing me a couple of seconds there, and the last thing I want to do is get caught up battling Latifi. Right, in comes Carlos Sainz, what is a very early pit stop on the end of lap 8. Curious to know what tyres he's going on. It's the mediums. Huh? You think mediums are going to go 25 laps around here, Ferrari? Are you absolutely sure? Well, good luck to you. The only problem is that Sainz has now emerged right at the back of what seems to be a massive train of cars, and that's not worked out for him. Ferrari strategy at it again, but he fights his way through what I believe is Dan Ticktum, who is in P19. Right, back with our POV. Latifi pits, and we move up a place there. Also in the pits is Lando Norris, so he's must be
gap ahead is 8,
going to two-stop as well, especially if he takes on the mediums. I didn't see what tyres he took on, but it seems that Sainz must be two-stopping, so there's no way those mediums go to the end. At least that's my thinking anyway. In the meantime, we're currently sat in P7, and we're moving forward now. More drivers pitting in. I don't know what tyres they're going for. Oh, Verstappen's gone for the hards, so he must be going to the end. But the drivers that have taken on mediums, I'm not so sure what they're doing. It's a strategy call that I'm not entirely sure is the right one. But we're now in P5. Russell's third, Perez is fourth, and Alexander Albon having a stunning day up in P2. Here's Fernando Alonso, the championship leader, and Sergio Perez has got out just in front of him. Verstappen a couple of seconds up the road, it appears. And we're now watching Carlos Sainz in the pack there, as he's stuck behind my teammate Oscar Piastri, who is also doing a fine job. Right, out of the pits we come. And yes, right now it appears that we're in P16, but I've pitted a lap or two earlier than those around us in order to guarantee an undercut, and that seems to work. They wanted me in on lap 16. I decided to pit a couple of laps earlier, but I still think we'll get to the end quite comfortably here. And we're starting to just nibble our way towards the battle of Perez and Alonso. I'm not quite sure who's fronting that, but I'm pushing to catch it. There's a yellow flag there, and I think we're going to see a recovering Red Bull. Is that Verstappen that's gone round then? So Verstappen's caught behind a Williams. I believe that's Drugovich. Yep, round it goes. A full 360 for Verstappen. So that's both him and Hamilton that have had 360 today. Meanwhile, out the pits comes Charles Leclerc. Somehow Carlos Sainz is still just ahead, despite the mountain of traffic he had to go through. And Schumacher's trying to get P2 off Leclerc, but that's not happening there. Right, the pit stops have all shaken out now, and the top three is Sainz, Leclerc, Albon. But I believe Sainz is pitting again, and George Russell now going around the outside of Lando Norris. Lando does not seem to be that quick on this stint. I don't know if it's the fact that he pitted a few laps earlier than Russell, and Russell just has the brand new tyres, but now Sergio Perez is giving Norris a bit of grief here. And is Perez going to get this move done quickly? I think he will. But I think Fernando Alonso, if he wants any chance of salvaging good points in this race, is going to have to follow Perez through. And that's exactly what he's doing. Norris on the left, the two teammates now going side by side. And I think McLaren will just be on the blower to Lando and just say, look, don't hold him up, let him go. and Fernando is now released. And I believe this is going to be Alonso going after Perez. It is Alonso on Perez. Down the inside, Perez trying to hold on. Alonso, though, with a better exit out of 1 and 2. Round the sweeper of 3. And Fernando Alonso moves up a place. Norris having to tuck in behind Perez and wait it out a bit. Meanwhile, at the end of lap 20, Carlos Sainz makes a second stop. So Ferrari really have just thrown away a win for Carlos today. And with Carlos being...
I don't think you need to be worried, just some bad data. So keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems.
Dear engineer, please don't give me anxiety in the middle of the race. But as I was saying, Ferrari there just seemingly throwing away a victory for Carlos Sainz there with that strategy, and with Sainz being nearer to Alonso in the championship, this is a day where Sainz could have scored some pretty good points against Alonso. So Ferrari pretty much just, well, for lack of a more polite way of putting it, pissing it away there. But now we're tucked up on this DRS train again, and there's a yellow flag in front of us. Who is that that's slowing down? Is that Alex Albon in the Alpine? He was running in P2. Is that Albon? Yes, that is Alex Albon. Alex Albon is out of the race, and on a day where he was running P2 and potentially could have scored some big points against us, not just in the drivers but the Constructors' Championship for Alpine as well. It's all gone horribly wrong for him, and he is out of the race from P2. Heartbreak for Albon, but it's getting even better for us because out the last corner Verstappen made a mistake, and that's allowed me to try and get the inside line here. We've taken the inside line, we've gained the place on Verstappen. That is now P6, and Sainz has followed me through though, and Sainz is on fresh medium tyres, and he's not really going to be waiting around. We try to cover him down the inside, but I feel like there's an inevitability about this. I feel like Carlos is probably going to get us quite soon. Right, lap 24, here comes Sainz. Lap 25 now, sorry, as we finished it. Sainz going down the inside. I'm trying to cover, but I'll be honest, I've gone wide anyway. There wasn't going to be a lot I could do against Sainz, but he's now through. And now Verstappen is right on my rear. He's going to want a way through into 4. I'm going to the inside. I'm trying to cover him. Verstappen's got the inside line. I've tried to come around the outside. Verstappen's batted into me and shunted me a little bit wide. Verstappen's got the move done. I'm going to try and get round the outside, but I've missed my braking spot and I've gone wide onto the gravel, and that has gone horribly for me. And I'll be honest, that was my own mistake there. I've rejoined. I've tried to go around the outside of Max, but I've missed my braking spot badly, and that is a big mistake there. However, I think Verstappen may have taken a little bit of damage from nudging me because he pitted. Either that or he was running a two-stop strategy as well. I guess we'll never know. Right, what's this? Is this Norris and Verstappen? I believe it is. Well, it's one of them anyway. Who are we watching here? Sorry, it's Norris and Perez. Norris and Perez. And they are racing over what I believe is P5. And Perez trying to hold on, but Lando Norris going right round the outside. Sorry, it's for P4. P4. Because Norris has taken P4. Here comes Carlos Sainz now going for P5. Perez covers quite aggressively. Tries to defend, but Sainz not having any of that. He takes 5th. Perez is down to 6th. And we are in P7.
10.6 seconds.
Well, I feel like it could have been better without the mistake when we got knocked wide by Verstappen. If not for the mistakes we made, both hitting the sausage curb and there, I feel like P5 or P6 could have been on the cards today. So definitely scraps left on the table, but our pace is that much closer. Our pace was pretty much on par with Red Bull all through that race, so it's there. Bigger results are coming, but for now, it's P7 and another handful of points. Not too bad, really.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Spain and a massive confidence boost going into the next race. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we could talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those that we've witnessed today.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit, familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
There are positives to take from this race for us. The pace was getting there, you know, we were pretty much on par with Red Bull all through that race, and I think if we'd made less mistakes in that race, we would have been P5, maybe P6, just in front of Perez. But Ferrari are the ones that are leaving me scratching my head with Carlos's strategy. They really threw away a win with that one, and instead of taking a points advantage, Carlos ends up taking a deficit to Fernando, so Fernando gets a bit more of a gap on Carlos. It was nevertheless a dominant win from Charles Leclerc. Once Sainz's strategy shook out, no one was getting anywhere near Leclerc. Russell takes second, and Fernando Alonso from 8th on the grid manages to get up to P3, so that's great damage limitation for him, and a podium in his home race. Norris is 4th, Sainz recovering from that strategy 5th, then it's Perez, myself, Schumacher, Latifi, and I didn't see who got 10th before the screen changed. But there's how it affects things in the championship. Alonso keeping that lead over Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz dropping down to 3rd now. Verstappen, he's 39 points off, but he is just about in the hunt if Red Bull turn it up in the season, he still could be in the hunt. Russell and Norris 5th and 6th. Then it's Hamilton, it's myself, Albon in 9th, and Perez in 10th. Albon really could have done with the big points he could have scored from today to get him up the standings. Magnussen and Latifi 11th and 12th. But I do feel like with Alpine they have the problem of only one driver is really pulling their weight, and that's Albon. We're yet to see Oscar Piastri get a result, but I'm confident that Oscar will get results as the season progresses. There we are then, sitting in 5th in the Constructors, we have jumped Alpine. So that's going to be a fight that goes on all season. Thank you very much for watching this instalment of Career Mode. Don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and join me next time. Until then, it is TTFN from me, guys.